The Joel Fernandes Show is a talk show channeled spontaneously from source to edify and help raise the vibrations of truthers, starseeds, Christic alchemists, and others who have seen through this illusionary matrix into messianic consciousness by discussing hidden knowledge, higher dimensions, and manifesting so that we can shine our light for everyone to see and co-create the earth that we know we actually deserve to live in. Don't! I gotta go! I'm working on the show!
Here we go!
Today is like show 20, right? Show 20. Here's to show 20. Here's to another 20 more. And here's to episode 40 of the Joel Fernandes Show. I'm Joel Fernandes. And like I said in the last episode, I got something special planned for this episode. So, you know what? Without further ado, whatever ado means, without any of that stuff, let's get right into today's episode. See, this is what a new community, bros. This is how you live in a good community. You manifest, and then before you know it, you're on the same street as houses like this. You know? This is how to manifest. Before I could never even, I never even knew communities like this existed. Even though I've seen them in movies, I've seen them in video games, I never really knew. I never really knew, bro. And this is now commonplace for me. It can be commonplace for you too. All you gotta do is tap in and know that Source is infinite. Source is infinite. I don't know why I'm talking in an Australian accent, but Source is infinite, bruh. Source has got your back, and before you know it, all of this lines up perfectly. Like, look at these houses here. Look at that. Look at that. Like, you really want to manifest? Yeah, check this one out too. Check that out. Check that out. Yeah, bro.
We are all awake. I don't need to convince you. I thank all the speakers who have borne witness to what is happening here. I don't need to convince you. You are wide awake and you are stepping up. So you need to be called to action with practical things that you can do. We are an organization that's committed to faith, family, and freedom. I want you to know that Action for Canada is taking legal action against the BC government, against the federal government, represented by constitutional lawyer Rocco Kalani. You know, he stepped up, he's standing out, and he's taking action. One of the biggest lawsuits ever. Have you heard about it in the mainstream media? No! Don't listen. Get off that platform. Find the voice. Go to Telegram. Go to those other organizations. We are united together. We are awake. Canada, we are awake. We see what's going on. Bottom line, people, if you have to carry a card on you to gain access to a restaurant, a venue, or an event in your own country, that's no longer a free country. Don't let that happen. And let us remember this, that the very first statement in our charter reads, whereas Canada is founded upon principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law. From there flows the rest of our freedoms. There's a verse from Galatians 5 I want to share. It says, it is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burned again by a yoke of slavery. Make no mistake, we enslave ourselves when we allow our bodies to become the public space and cower before bullies. So for me, I make my appeal to the supreme ruler for his intervention. And what does he require of us? Only that we seek justice, love mercy, and walk humbly before him. May God keep our land glorious and free. God bless you.
thought they're gonna keep me in jail. Hey guys, how are you? My name is Kevin J. Johnson, and I'm telling you all, there is no pandemic. We want our freedom back, don't we, Calgary? Put them in office. October 18th. Vaccine passports are gone. Vaccine is gone.
Because when it's over,
There
it's
will
over.
never be a
How's it
mandatory
going, guys?
vaccine for anyone, and the city will be reopened forever.
Fuck you, Trudeau!
Oh my goodness. Wow. What energy, man. What an amazing march. Whoo! That was amazing. Like a bigger turnout than I thought it would be. Honestly, let's fix my hair here. Been tied up all day. Been tied up all day, man. I can't even wear a ponytail, much less a muzzle across my face. But yeah, I honestly think people have just had enough. Like last week, we had a really good turnout. Like, what was it? They say 6,000. The march was going on for like a dozen blocks. Like a dozen city blocks. And that was last week. Now Canadians have just gone through a farce of an election. Like, I gotta be careful what I say here because, you know. I did an Instagram post about how corrupt the YouTube guidelines are. Like you have, you know, whole sections dedicated to like, oh, if you're inciting violence, you have one line, it's like hate speech. And then another one, it's pornography. And another one, it's, you know, whatever. But then you got a whole page of restrictions just talking about you can't say that the jab does this, that, and the other thing. That's a whole page long. I posted it on my Instagram. Check it out. Because the Joel Fernandez show before last got pulled down because of that very issue. But if you want to watch the complete uncensored version, you can check it out on Rumble. Even this episode, like, I gotta censor. Like, I can't show you guys everything that happened at the rally. Because YouTube is that way. They'll just pull the video down. But it's all on my Rumble account. So if you want to check it out, unclipped version of this Joel Fernandez show on Rumble. And I also post other stuff on there too, so you can check that out. Stuff that YouTube definitely wouldn't let me say. So, you know what? You just got to speak your truth. You just got to speak up. Whatever it is that's in your heart, just let it out. Just let it out. Because that's what you're here to do. That's what you're here to do. And nobody else can speak your truth for you. So just stay calm, just stay collected, and know that Source has got this. Source has got this, and this is really reaching a tipping point. You know, the pressure's on right now because they know their time's up, and they're just trying everything they can to push back. And, you know, you think like, oh, people were complacent during World War II, and, you know, they just lined up. First they wore the yellow star, and then they showed them their papers. Well, in Canada, sure, there are people that are already on board, but there's so much pushback. Hitler never had pushback like this, and that's what they're afraid of because they know that the people aren't buying it this time. With social media, with just sharing among friends and family, like we can wake up a whole bunch of people. Like you might not be able to wake up everybody in your circle, especially the people that have already bought the mainstream narrative. But there are those one or two people that you know that you can at least shine some light at. And once you do that little bit, like the fire spreads like wildfire. That's exactly what it is. So you know what? Don't give up hope, and especially trust that with social media and the way things are, there's platforms like we can really make a difference on. I'm even looking at setting up a Telegram account for this whole channel because honestly, like I can share a whole lot more on these other platforms. Like sure, YouTube can be like the bait and it can just be whatever they allow me to post on YouTube. But honestly, like, the message right now, especially, is getting way too deep for YouTube, and, you know, censorship, bro, censorship. And sis, I can't forget the sisters out there. Thank you for all your support, guys. I honestly gotta say, episode 40, when I did that toast back at episode 20, I kind of said that, and I'm like, man, Source, is that really what you want me to do? Because honestly, like, putting these shows together, it takes a lot of work. I gotta sit down and just start talking to the camera, and honestly, I don't plan what I'm gonna say. That's just spontaneous from Source. But editing, man. Editing like a 45-minute show takes a good 6 hours at least. And then there's stuff I got to add in as the inspiration comes. It's a lot of work, guys, for a one-man show. But I'm committed, and I'm grateful that, you know, there's a lot of you guys that have stuck with the show and have just been inspiration. There go the sirens again. I mean, this is what it's like in the inner city, right? Fire department, 2 trucks. Okay, high-rise support. Something's going down. Anyway, I haven't eaten all day, guys, and it's like already almost 4 o'clock. And I probably won't get home for another hour if I take the main road, because there were so many people here. Last time I came for this rally, it took about a good 20 minutes. I was going to say half an hour, but let's just say 20 minutes to get out of the downtown. So I'm going to wait a bit, but, you know, the turnout today was amazing. It was just amazing. Like, I'm so appalled to see so many people stand up. Like, it feels like we're alone, especially with the way YouTube censors and, you know, all these social media platforms. And of course, like, we've been locked up, and other people out there, like, they're few and far between. But it's just like Yahweh told Eliyahu the prophet. Sorry, if you're not familiar with the Hebrew names, it's Elijah in English, Eliyahu in Hebrew. And these are Hebrew scriptures, so I read them in Hebrew because the understanding is, you know, 10 times more anyway. And of course, translations have taken out meaning, but that's beside the point. Eliyahu tells Yahweh, he's like, man, I'm ready to die. I give up. I'm the only one here that hasn't bowed to this fake religion of putting a mask or a persona on the unnameable source. And in the Hebrew scriptures, that identity was called Baal. So then he's like, I'm the only guy. They're killing all of us. What do you want me to do? And he's like, get up. There's 7,000 other prophets in the land of Israel who haven't bowed their knee. And that's what we're seeing here. Thousands upon thousands. Like, even the people that were in the rally, like, there were so many people just on the sidewalk, at the patios, like in the restaurants where we're walking down, because we walked down the Red Mile, which is just like a whole bunch of pubs and restaurants and bars and that kind of thing. People giving us thumbs up, people holding up their cameras, filming, you know, shouting freedom. Like, things are changing. And yeah, if you want the uncut version, man, go to Rumble, because I'm posting clips of the actual rally. Like, so many people, man. So many people. It's just incredible. Incredible. Like, absolutely phenomenal. I'm impressed. I'm impressed at the awareness that's out there. I didn't expect it. I really didn't expect it to be this high. But man, we have made it. The Great Awakening is upon us. That's what it is. It's the Great Awakening. People are waking up to the tyranny. And guess what? These plans were in the books for decades, if not longer. And people just are waking up and seeing it. What was hidden is now exposed. They were doing it all in secret before, but now it's just like everything is exposed. No matter what they do, it's like blatantly obvious. And if you're still asleep now, like, there's no helping you, because it's just so obvious. And that's what Source told me. Source was like, I pulled back the curtain, and they're still doing things as if they're behind the curtain. But I pulled back the curtain. So if you have eyes to see, you can see. People who don't see choose not to see. They choose to be in denial. They choose to just ignore the fact, because if they admit the fact, that would mean they have to admit that they were duped. And that would also mean that they'd have to change their whole world paradigm. You know, it's not worth arguing about these things with some of these people, but it's definitely worth bringing up and at least standing for your truth for the people that will be able to listen, because no matter what they do, they'll try and intimidate. Like, even at the gathering, they circled with the helicopter. They had police taking video of us, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because what can that do? When people really stand up, that's where the real change happens. And they know it, and they're afraid. And what they mean for intimidation is just like ROFL, bro. Rafflecopter. But that's what it is. That's what it comes down to. Just speak your truth, guys. Just speak your truth. And you know what? Your truth just might not be my truth. You don't have to compare yourself to me, but you have a message. And shout out to Derek, man. Like, you really inspire me. And your message isn't like mine. Like, I'm a linguist. I really study a lot of different languages, but I can't talk about language and syntax the way you can, bro. So put that video together. Really speak your message, and we will see a change. The more of us are added to this leading edge wave, the harder this crash is going to be on this new shore, because we are crashing on a new shore. We are seeing new potentials being released and realized by those of us that are capable of actually stepping into that potential. Good things are coming. Good things.
Good things are coming. Good things.
But I'm noticing a lot of people starting to come in for the dinner rush, so I'm just gonna cut the video here. And honestly, I'm filming this video on Saturday, and it's supposed to be up tomorrow on Sunday. But you know what? I'll do my best to edit it tonight. And of course, if I finish editing tonight, I would be able to post it, no problem, if it doesn't take too long to export. But last time I exported one of these shows, it took like 14 to 16 hours. And that just happened all of a sudden. Like, it was going really slow for a while like that. And then all of a sudden, it would export one of these shows in like half an hour. But all of a sudden, it started being really slow again. And I actually cleaned out my computer, so I would expect that maybe there was a shortage of RAM, but it wasn't that. And yeah, exporting time is crazy, man. Reasoning sessions, export for like 2 to 3 hours. Really lame. But anyway, I am gonna get a move on. Victory trumpet, guys. Like the walls of Jericho, we're gonna see them just come crumbling, tumbling down. So stay the course, guys. Keep the faith. We got this. Source has got this. This is the good fight of faith, and a good fight is a fight that's already been won. So we have the victory, and that's why we sound the shofar, because like Joshua, we are going to see these walls of Jericho come crumbling down. And they know it, because the victory is not in the physical dimension. That's why they're trying to do all these things with the physical signs. The muzzle to keep you from speaking your truth. You know, real actual toxins in the body to kill your immune system and worse. See, I can't talk about that here on YouTube, but you guys are smart. You guys know what's going on. Like, you know what? It's done. This world is done. So we got this. It's already taken care of. It's already taken care of. So guys, I'll see you in another video. I got a lot of work to do tonight, tomorrow. Actually, you know what, dude? I gotta do the live stream. You know what? I better get going. I better get going, guys. That live stream. Yeah, of course, by the time you watch this, the live stream will already have been live. But, yeah. All right. There you go. 111. Well, guys, I thought that was going to be a short video, but I got home and got a comment that see more art of mine. So here I am. I got a shower. I'm all clean. I finished that live stream. And, yeah, I'm just going to share some of my art with y'all. So I'm recording this video at like, right now it's 5 to 10 at night, but I'm still going to edit this and probably not going to be able to get it up on time Sunday, but it's going to come. It's coming. By the time you've seen this, it's already up. So I'm going to share some of the art that's on the wall. Like, a lot of them are paintings, but I'm actually going to share some of those vector arts. So I'm going to start with this one right here. And that one says Dormiens Vigila. And it was a vector art that I drew up in Illustrator. Just some graphics that I threw together, really. Played around with some colors. And originally that was posted right by my bed, because this is one of the alchemist's maxims. And in Latin, it literally means, while you sleep, be vigilant, because a whole lot of stuff happens while we're sleeping and we're usually just unawares to it all. And you know what? The more I pay attention, and even keeping dream journals, just going back and kind of like reliving those dreams, like the more those dreams become real. And now it's just like dreams are so real. Like when I wake up, it takes a few moments to recalibrate sometimes. Sometimes I'm really disappointed, sometimes I'm super relieved, but they all play a part in, this life here. No matter how crazy they are. I've had dreams where like I'm, in the middle of a battle, like, gunfire and all this stuff. We're hiding in trenches and crazy stuff. Then I've had other dreams where like I'm driving cars through the sewers, trying to meet secretly with people as we take down the kingdom of darkness. I've had dreams like where I'm in a completely different space, like a completely different life altogether, but it still plays back into this life. But yeah, the more you're tuned into this realm, it's awakening awareness within you. And the more you're awake to the awareness within you and that awareness which you are, the more you're experiencing awareness, and things are just amazing. Things are just amazing. It's almost like the veil is pulled back. Like right now, it's so thin. Things that happen in the dream world just play out right away in the physical world for me. Not exactly the same scene, but I know that the scene is like an interpretation of what plays out in the physical world. Really, if I was to share all my dreams on this channel, like that itself would be like a daily video on top of the reasoning sessions. So right now the reasoning sessions take precedent, and I'm sharing that. If editing time, or exporting time rather, is cut short, maybe I'll do those dreams. Maybe I'll share more of those, because like the words that come through, the visions that come through, like they're starting to come through in waking hours, not just in sleep. So yeah, practice being vigilant and watchful while you sleep, and pretty soon, you know what, you're not going to be unconscious while you're sleeping. Let's just put it that way. All right, then the second vector is this one right here, and that's Hebrew Chedrat Yahweh Malotzi, and that literally means the joy of Yahweh is my strength. And this was like literally the first thing I knew how to read when I was like 2. My mom put up like these bubble letters in my room, and yeah, that's how I learned to read, just by sounding out that verse.
You got a very
Joe,
nice
can you read
room.
that? What's on your wall?
What's on your wall?
No. You read. When the red light comes,
There.
The joy of the Lord is my strength.
Is that what it says? Oh, wow.
And that comes from Nehemiah 8:10. And Nehemiah was rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem when they went back from exile, when the Persian Empire, the Persian king, sent them back. Nehemiah was the one who oversaw the rebuilding of the walls of Jerusalem, which were torn down. And he had to bring the people together and encourage them and edify them. And he said this to them. He said, the joy of Yahweh is your strength. And they had hardships, because the people that were displaced to become inhabitants of the land while the original Hebrews were in exile, they fought them. They come against them at every turn they could. So while they were building the walls, they literally had a sword in one hand and a hammer in the other hand. And that's what we got to do right now, because the time is kind of pushing down on us. It is oppressing us and just constraining us. But we build the kingdom of heaven with one hand, and we fight off the kingdom of darkness with another hand. And before we know it, the kingdom of darkness is going to be under our feet. It already is under our feet in faith in Christ, but it's literally going to be manifested as subdued. And from there, it's just going to accelerate that momentum. The third art that I'm going to share is this one right here. And that basically says, Lo bechail, lo bechocha, ki im beruchi amar Yahweh Tsabaot. That literally means, not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, says Yahweh of hosts. And we're talking the angelic hosts. I made a video about the angelic hosts and dispatching them, which I also talked about a vision I had where, We have to play an active part in this, but it's not by physical might. It's not by physical power. It's by this transcendent force that just flows. And when you allow that to flow, it's like everything opens up before you. It parts the Red Sea, and that's how you walk across on dry ground while, Pharaoh's chariots are having their tires sink in the mud. That's the power that we have when we tap in to infinite source creator. And the last vector art that I have on the wall is that one right there, and that's taken right from the oracles of Joel. Of course, you can't forget it because that's my name. So in Hebrew it says, Begir Yishko Bechuma Yertzon, meaning in the city they swarm, and in the wall they run. Rab Me'od Machanehu, Chatzum Chase Dabru. And that literally means great is his army that carries out, that exercises his word. Then it says, Yahweh Natan Kolo, Lifnei Chelo. Yahweh utters his voice before his army. This is literally just the Hebrew for the words of the song taken from the Oracle of Joel. And then, of course, the chorus. Tikho shofar b'tzion v'harigu b'har kadshi. Blow the trumpet, the shofar in Zion. This bad boy here. And sound the alarm, the call to war on my holy mountain. Blow the trumpet in Zion, Zion. Sound the alarm on my holy mountain. Blow the trumpet in Zion, Zion. Sound the alarm. So yeah, that's some of my art. Of course, I also have time to share some of my paintings. So maybe I'm going to do that. Because you know what? This is episode 40. And I'm all about inspiring people. Honestly, guys, I've got so much art. Like, a lot of those are just paintings. But yeah, like that one's like an eagle in flight. Northern Lights here. I really like that one. I also have another one that's not on this wall. And it's an old church in Ramsau, Austria. And it's pretty cool. And this one, it's just something about this. Like the way the mountains blend into the clouds, and then the strokes of the clouds are just so wispy, and even the strokes that the leaves on the trees are made of, it almost seems like, the leaves are waving in the wind. Like, this painting came out really nicely. It's one of my pride and joys. So there's that one. And then on this side, I have like the Golden Gate Bridge overlooking from Berkeley. I can't remember which park that's looking from, but yeah, over top looking over the bay. That's pretty cool. And over here I have another one of the Golden Gate Bridge. These were both inspired by San Andreas, which if you watch like a couple episodes back, I did a whole exposure on the conspiracies in there. Yeah, I'm going to be covering a bit more of that in maybe the next Joel Fernandez show. I don't know. Like, this week was super busy. I was going to do it for this week. And then I had plans for some other surprise for this week, but that just didn't line up in time. That's still coming. I just can't tell you when. But yeah, GTA San Andreas, a whole bunch of inspiration, a whole bunch of cool stuff that inspired me throughout in so many different levels. So that's that. And then over here, 2 swans and a sunset. There's a tiny little tree there. Bloop, bloop, bloop. But that's there. And then on this side, I have San Juan Sunset, which if you're familiar with the music of Yomir Deodato, it's like one of his classics from his Love Island album, which is a really good album. I just love his music. It's just so jazzy, but not like jazz. It's like got that Latin flavor, and it's just such a really good, such a really inspiring genre. I kind of consider him a genre all by himself. But this song, San Juan Sunset, it's more than a standard. It's more than a song. It's literally your dream come true. Your secret dancing, lover on the sunset. This one is a legend. Like, whatever you want to imagine in that scene, like, that's there. And his music is great for manifesting, by the way. Get visualizing. And speaking of visualizing, I got this painting on the edge here, and that's literally like the shore of the river where that whole art community that I talk about is gonna be. That's a part of the visualization process that I painted that picture. And it's a reality. It's a reality, and I can see it coming together by the things that I'm lining up right now. We just don't have the land yet, but all of the stuff, all of the programs, and even the right brain curriculum, which I should probably share on this channel. I should probably share some of that, but that's already come together. Artists are already come together, and yeah, that's like behind you can see like a house hidden in the forest, and behind that there are mountains. It's literally like your secret forest getaway. And on this side, that's the art community from, well, like a helicopter coming in to see it, because there's a paradisical island as you're coming in from the water, and then a whole bunch of stuff set up on that island. And then once you get past the island, then you actually have like the community with all the buildings in it. But then you have also like satellite buildings which have their own function that actually serve this whole community. It just came as a download to me, just like, and it's all syncretic, like 12 different things. I don't know what else to call them. They're not organizations, they're not institutions, they're just things. Like one is the airport, one is the greenhouses that grow the food, one is the power station, which is green as well. All of these things are different, like satellites of this community. And yeah, 12. It's amazing. I would share more of that, but right now it's still in the pre-manifested stage, so that's what that painting is all about. And then, of course, you saw me paint that painting. I did that in episode 31. So if you want to watch speed laps of that, you can check it out. That one's just some flowers, pretty cool flowers. But this one, guys, this one is talking about, when you look at it, what do you see? You see the azimuthal equidistant projection. And of course, the dome and the sun and moon and all of that stuff. Then you have the four worlds. So we have over here Niflheim, which is like the ice world, Vanaheim, which is like a kind of like a rainforest kind of forest, misty kind of world, Jotunheim, which is like where giants live, and Muspelheim, which is like this desert kind of fire world. Under that, you have Svartalfheim, which is like where the short elves live. Svartalf, short elves. And then Helheim, which is, the land of hell. And there's the Rainbow Road that connects it to the top, Asgard, and all that kind of stuff is there. Valhalla is even in the details. Pretty cool, but it's a flat plane. And that's because I've done my research. I've done my research, and I'm not relying on NASA to show me any pictures of what it actually looks like. Because I've read the Book of Enoch. And in doing so, I even realized like how the Book of Enoch actually ties in with the calendar, because there's a calendar in there too, guys. And the rabbinical calendar doesn't quite sync up with it. Why? Why doesn't it sync up with it? Because they follow the moon, and the moon keeps progressing about 10 to 12 days too early every year. And that throws everything off, and then it shifts. Like within the sign, it will shift. But you know what? They have leap years to keep it kind of adjusted, but it's still a perversion of the perfection of absolute source time. And that's the great clock in the sky. And I used to have the calendar back there, now it's in the Studio B, but that's just the way it is. Source's times are perfect, there's no discrepancies, and everything lines up year after year after year. Be it the moon, be it the sun, be it the 5, 7 planets, whatever, all of that stuff lines up perfectly, and the dates are precise every year. So next year, because I already printed the calendar twice this year, I'm going to be having a calendar for next year with the Enochian dates already incorporated into that, because that's the way it is. It all fits together. It all fits together. And I also have above that picture, there's a piece of fractal art which I made, which resembles, like, I call it the cradle of the universe, which is literally like the divine womb. And this is something that the institutions have been sitting on, because, you know what, it clearly says in Genesis that Elohim creates man or humanity or the Adam in his image, male and female, which means that, hey, God is both male and female, and we've been defining God as a male all this time, and it's like the biggest insult to not only the feminine, but guess what? You can't have a father without a mother to produce the child. And I talk about this biblically. I'm not going to get into that in this episode, but yeah, up there, that's where that one is. And I actually have quite a few fractal artworks. I won't really show a lot of those because a lot of that was made back when I still believed the NASA lies. But learning what fractals actually are was what made me realize just the nature of how this universe is structured in layers and facets in literally fractal geometry, which is pretty cool. And I also have on this other wall vector art I did of an ibex, which actually was taken from a Scythian tattoo. They found the mummies in Pasirisk with tattoos on them, and so I took one of those designs and made this little artwork. It just kind of came through, just like that. What do you know? And I also have on this wall that poster which I made, which was basically kind of a graphical description of my out-of-body experience, even though there's no way to put that in graphical portrayal. And if I did, it just wouldn't have that kind of energy to it. It would look very bleak and just like, oh, white clouds and a rainbow and a throne and pillars. And nah, this was like majestic, and that's why I made that poster. Yeah, I shared that speed lapse of me actually drawing it in episode 32, and then the unveiling of it in episode 33. So that was a really fun project. I was like super inspired to do it because honestly, I was just so happy to be alive. That's that. I have a few other paintings like this one I did, Time Is Not On Your Side. And this is like a very, it's not monochrome, but it's like a very limited color palette. And it was basically when I was going through a really hard time and everything was kind of speeding up. This was when I was in college and I just couldn't keep up with it. And I painted this and I was like, time is not on your side, man. We are aging before we can actually do anything with our lives. But that was before I learned about manifesting. So now that I know about manifesting, time definitely is on my side because everything that's unfolding is part of that manifestation process. Once you sit in the driver's seat and, you know, you're not just subject to, you know, whatever circumstances are coming at you, then you really realize all this is playing out to get me that which I visualized. These do. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The map. The map has it all. But that's not really art, so I'm not going to really talk about that right now. I talked about that in some other episodes. Maybe I'll talk. If I do ever talk about this art community and how it all fits together, I'll talk more about that map and just that kind of stuff in general. But right now, it's still in the works. It's still in the works. And you know what? If you guys have any suggestions, if you want to participate in this, shoot me a DM because honestly, this community is already growing and it's growing fast. It's growing fast. So if you have art that you do, you know, let's link up. We'll work together. And speaking about art, like I've just been so busy. I haven't even done that other painting. I know what it's going to be. Originally, I had this other digital painting I made like way back when. And that was the original like romantic visualization. And that kind of morphed into this one. And that was a painting I had back way back when. And then since then, like I got busy doing other stuff. But you know what? Now it's just like that manifestation process. I have a portrait that I'm going to paint for that, but I've just been so busy. So that's in the works. I don't know if I'll make a show out of it, but it's been a few episodes since my last show where I painted. So maybe I've just got so many ideas for this show to move it forward. Like, you know, exposing San Andreas and some other video games, and also some interviews will be coming. So yeah, all of that, man. But I've got so much paintings here. I'm going to share a few more before I go. Because speaking of digital paintings, I did this one like way back first when I was awakening. And you can see the symbolism here. There's, of course, the rainbow and the mushrooms, and the girl swinging off of a serpent, which represents the Nachash in Genesis 3. You have cannabis buds, you have poppies, you have a little ladybug. All of this stuff was very influential in my awakening process.
Over bridge of sights, to rest my eyes in shades of green, under dreaming spires, to Ichiku Park, that's where I've been. What did you do there? I got high. What did you feel there? Well, I cried. But why the tears there? Tell you why. It's all too beautiful. It's all too beautiful. It's all too beautiful. It's all too beautiful. I feel inclined to blow my mind, get up, meet the ducks with a bun. They all come out to groove about, be nice and have fun in the sun.
But you know, that was just the beginning until I realized like that was all in here. You know, I was still relying on all these physical substances, and you know, that will take you so far, but it definitely doesn't take you all of the way. And that's what this painting was all about. This was literally when my awakening began. On the left side, you see like the bottle hanging from a tree, because literally I was killing myself and I couldn't function. Like, I was so overweight. Like, look at this. I was like a balloon, because it was just like I didn't care about, well, I did care, but it was just the circumstances around me were just ruling my mind. There were like these strongholds in there that I just couldn't shake, and they just kept pushing me down and down and down, further down into that bottle. But you know what? That one fateful day, I just like went into the washroom. I was literally passing out at work. Like, I was dizzy. I was like borderline diabetic. I had the shakes because I was trying to stop drinking, but I couldn't. I just walked into the washroom. I leaned up against the wall and I said, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, if you're real, help me. That was literally what I said. Literally what I said. And boom, the next day, it was like everything unfolded. I went to the doctor. I got off the drinking. And that's what that schism in the painting represents. It literally represents the breaking off of an old world and entering into a new world. And then from there, you can see that the ground starts to grow greenery. Then from the greenery, there's like flowers and all this kind of stuff, like beautiful meadows, like of daffodils. And then a bridge that crosses a river. And of course, the river is representative of cleansing. I won't really give out too much of the personal details here, but yeah, there was a cleansing of my inner emotions. And then once I was free of that, walking towards a new horizon. With that building there with the dome on it represents one of the buildings that I designed when I was actually still in architect school. And it just represents that dream potential that I had for myself. And of course, in the horizon, you see the sun, the moon, and the star. That moon is the opening crescent of the month. And of course, beyond the mountains is the cannabis leaf, because that played a huge role in just snapping me out of it, realizing that the institution didn't have my best interest. Because guess what? Alcohol was legal, and they were doing everything they could to squash cannabis, especially at that time. Like, now in Canada, it's a bit different, but back then in Canada, man, it was just as bad as the States, pretty much. And that played a very vital role, not just waking me up, but also like getting me off the detrimental drinking habits that were literally killing me from the inside out. Just coming back to the Abrahamic religion and just understanding that there was so much hidden in there that institution never showed me. But guess what? It was always there. And that light that's streaming down from the top left corner is that inspiration that came from above. Because honestly, my own ego, I couldn't see anything beyond my circumstances. I couldn't fathom anything beyond. It was only that inspiration that woke me up and propelled me forward and got me out of those dark clouds, which are in the top left corner as well, into a new day full of not only light, but just greenery in more ways than one. But that basically summed up 2009, which was when this whole transformation just hit me. And you know what? February of that year was when I stopped drinking, and I didn't know what I was going to do. But in September, I was already attending graphics design diploma course. So that's how fast Source can really work when you tap in and really access that inner artist. Because once this all unfolded, I realized, we're all pushing a left brain interpretation of society, but inside there's this right brain inspiration that's trying to come through society. And of course, the education system has suppressed it, but that's really what it's all about. Ooh. But I could go on some of these arts. Like this one was inspired by GTA Vice City. Of course, the Testarossa, the Ferrari. In the game, it's called the Cheetah, I believe. It's been a while since I played that game. It is the Cheetah. And yeah, just typical 80s. And I was gonna redo this image with my RX-8, showing down the beach of Miami with, all the colors and lights and everything. But unfortunately, that file got deleted halfway. And I was already like 40 hours in that art piece. And it got deleted. So I might make that again, I might not, but whatever. This was the original, 1986, and I painted this in, not 1986, because I wasn't born in 1986. This painting was made back in 2009. Again, 2009. I did a whole lot of art in 2009. And, oh, dude, I gotta show you guys this stuff. So yeah, with digital paintings, these are all from a story that I was writing back before 2009 when I was still in this really dysfunctional relationship, but inspirational in terms of writing this story. I've since left off this story because of its association with that relationship, but all of the story structure still exists, and I've already turned it into something way grander. Not just a story anymore. It was originally going to be like a novel and maybe turned into like a anime series, because back then like anime was where I got a lot of inspiration from. But now I'm developing something in line with Codex Seraphianus, which if you don't know about that, it's a book with just random drawings this Italian architect put together, and those are literally downloads from a different dimension. Let's just leave it at that. We can talk about that book because some of the stuff in that book, it just raises questions. Like, you can't decipher it. You can't really understand what the pictures mean. And it's just written in that way where, it's like that initial curiosity when you're flipping through an encyclopedia when you're like 3 years old and you can't read. I could read at 3, but I'm imagining like what it's like when you can't read or you're reading a different language encyclopedia. This is what the feel of that book is. But yeah, these are all digital paintings that I made. This one's like a marshland world where like little tadpole frogs with wings kind of spin these webs where they catch flies, like fly-like creatures. I designed like all the wildlife for this world. It was crazy, and they eat them like with these frog-like tongues. This is a close-up of the critters that spin the webs and the fly-like creatures. Like I said, they eat with like a frog-like tongue. And these are the guys that live on the surface. There's a whole other world below the surface, but I didn't get to paint that yet. Then we have this one, which is like the evil king's castle, which is like literally in lava land. That's not such an original idea, but this is what the artwork for that looks like. And then this is like a floating island in the sky, modeled after the Babylonian architecture. And even the society and all that stuff, I don't want to get too deep into that, but it's all actually very satirical of the earth itself. Everything in this world is literally the earth exposed to the nth degree. But yeah, you see the dock here on the edge of the floating island with like not spacecrafts, but like aircraft to carry you back and forth from the surface. And towers, these beacons that keep the whole kind of thing floating. And even this Tower of Babel kind of thing in the middle. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Very deep story. And like I said, I'm turning it into something way beyond what it started as. This is another land where the light is actually kept under a veil of darkness. So even during high noon, the land is shrouded in a veil of darkness. And all these towers are literally like vertical cities where angelic beings live. And they can't leave. They can't leave because of the nature of the veil. And they're stuck in this land until the final battle. I can't give away too much of this story right now, but this one is the original battle because from the sky comes an attack on this prophetess who literally prophesies that the kingdom of darkness will fall, and she explains how it's going to fall. But on one night when she's fasting and praying, boom, this attack comes and literally kills her in the top tower of this temple. And that starts the whole story. But those parts of the story aren't really the parts that I had to purge. The parts that I had to purge were the parts that reflected the relationship I was in. And that's what this picture is about, because there was a couple on whom the story was centered on. And they go through all these different continents and all the different lands in order to fulfill this prophecy and literally decimate the kingdom of darkness. And this is one of the places they stay. It's basically modeled after India. You know, you can see the brass, the elephants, the rugs, the hookah, all of that stuff. There's even ganja on the table. Everything is modeled after that in this picture. And yeah, this was on their travels. They learn a lot from, you know, the local rulers. In this case, it's a group of priests. The characters have been scrapped from the story, from the book, from the idea, but the locations and all that stuff is still the same and actually changed to reflect more of what I've learned in the meantime, and also what I've understood about the true nature of history and, you know, this earth plane and all that other stuff. So that's some of my art. We can do, you know, a whole bunch of episodes on this, but right now I really want to get back into exposing some of these conspiracies just in video games and movies, you know. That I'll also do analysis on the Matrix and maybe even the new Matrix movie. But there's just so much in the works that if I really get to time to do it, that's also going to just accelerate a whole other trajectory. So right now I'm like just steamrolling forward, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It's a good thing because we're steamrolling into the kingdom of heaven. But yeah, all this stuff, like, it takes so much time, and right now I'm super busy with like I said, manifesting Earth 2.0, getting the art communities together, collaborating with people that, you know, are not just freedom fighters, but we're getting people together to take back our nation, our communities, our land for the kingdom of light. Literally give the kingdom of darkness an eviction notice. It's time to get out because war were declared.
What's that? War were declared.
And of course, on top of that, really exercising the real meaning of the scriptures, not through institutions that have been squatting on, you know, people's souls for the last, 2,000 plus years. No, thank you. But you know what? No matter what these institutions are pushing down our throat, man, freedom wins. And you know what? It's like it says on our very own Canadian $10 banknote. Check it out. It says every individual is equal before and under the law and has the right to the equal protection and equal benefit of the law without discrimination. So, I mean, that goes for, you know, when you're paying in line at the till, or even like students attending class. Like, why do they have to sit at the back? Why do they have to segregate? Apparently,
That's against the law itself.
And that's the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. You can't ignore that because that is the Canadian Constitution. And everything that they're trying to push, if it counters the Canadian Constitution, it's out of there. It's out of there. And a lot of the tickets and the fines and the issues that are being issued over this whole scam, people are taking it to court and the courts are throwing them out. And people are even coming with counterclaims that the courts can't justify. But you know, we have guys like Pat King here in Alberta where AHS took him to court and he countered them. And he said, you know what? Give me proof that this virus exists. Give me proof that the masks work. And guess what? They came back and they said we have zero material evidence because guess what? Masks don't work. They just cause more problems. And in fact, Fauci himself has said that during the Spanish flu, most of the people died not from the flu, but from bronchitis and pneumonia that was induced by, guess what? The germs that were in the masks that people wore. I mean, here you have full mop gear, right? It's airtight. Nothing can get in. All of that in a closed system. And guess what? It's 80% effective to keep out foreign contaminants. But you know what? Your cloth mask is going to work just fine. So that's the stupidity, quite frankly, that we're dealing with here. You know what? It's all come to a head. People know their rights. People are standing up. Like, people say, oh, you know, it was just a yellow star. And before you know it, you're on the train going to Auschwitz. And yeah, that's true. But guess what? Hitler didn't have this kind of backlash. And we're seeing that live. And it's literally the greatest show ever. So stick with it. Stay optimistic. Persevere, because you know what? These are the dying gasps of a dying beast that knows its time is up, that knows people aren't buying it, and they're doing everything to squash the Great Awakening. This is the Great Awakening that we're living through. People are waking up. People are saying no more. And literally, we are manifesting from inside out Earth 2.0. The world that we've come here to live in, that we were deserving of even before we were born. We didn't come here to be manipulated. We didn't come here to be controlled. We didn't come here to be indoctrinated with a paradigm of fear. We came here to shine and to usher in the kingdom of heaven as agents in place, to be who we're meant to be, and let that ripple spread outwards and let other people wake up as we just continue to shine light, as we just continue to speak truth, as we just continue to bear our message, each individual's little pieces of the puzzle that can create the broader perspective, the final picture, which is literally heaven on earth. So with that being said, I'm going to sign out. I'll check you in another video. I'm probably going to make a whole bunch of videos, but editing. If I can edit them in time, I'll get them out there. But in the meantime, I'm still filming. I got a few videos on the go where I'm actually sharing not just my near-death experience, but the whole story that got me to that point and what began to unfold after that. So look out for that. It will be coming soon. Soon. I can't give a date, but soon. And I love you guys. I really do. I really do. Stay well. Stay optimistic. Don't give in to fear. Just keep standing strong. And if you feel you're faltering, tap into the living logos, because that is the power that elevates us beyond our own egos. It's literally downloaded from the higher dimensions down here. And when that goes in your heart, boom, it's like a fire coming out of your mouth. And that will burn away all the dross, which is the contaminant, which is the kingdom of darkness. In pure light, darkness cannot exist. Perfect love casts out all fear. All of these demons, all of these forces and powers and principalities of darkness, man, they all fall before the living logos.
One by one you'll drop like flies underfoot and in the ground, because greater is he who is in me than the snake I'm staring down.
So tap in and do your part. We're all in this together, not the great reset, but to bring the kingdom of heaven alive in our lives, in our experience of life, and in that of those around us. So that being said, Joel's gonna sign out once again. Agape, salaam, namaste, hotep.
Keeps lying with this